Greetings and salutations, JordanXlord with the Imperial Cultural Society. Today we're going to turn our attention from a tragic figure in the lore to one that is far more sinister. And with it being the end of spooky season, or at least I hope so, my timing is terrible, I feel like it'd be great to end with one of the spookiest things I can think of. Fantasy Sets
me their soul!
Hello there, Mr. X-Lord, or should I say Lord Commander? I heard that you are looking to do a deal. Tell me, would you like to be famous? Have a Gamer Subs promotion and flavor? And, most importantly of all, finally get that big titty goth girlfriend you've always wanted? Well, just sign here and for the mere price of your soul, it can all be yours.
We're pulling out our law books, our sacrificial daggers, to prepare for my autistic rant on Pathfinder's textbook example of that magnificent bastard. Genuinely love to hate and love to play villainous characters devoted to the Prince of Darkness. Now, before anyone gets the wrong idea, I will be providing a warning that due to Asmodeus' ties to the domain of tyranny, and with the incredibly obvious influences for his pet project, the nation of Cheliax, fascism is bad and is fundamentally an evil ideology that should be fought on all corners. We here at the Imperial Cultural Society maintain our official stance that fascism and the racist exclusionary ideals it promotes are poison to society. Asmodeus is an example of the evils within law, turning order into oppression, and fundamentally being an antagonist with ties to lawful evil, the nation. I have played a few followers of Asmodeus, mainly because my lawful ass enjoys delving into the darker aspects of what that mindset could lean into, and because devils are fucking sick. Now, with that disclaimer dealt with, and hopefully all of the potential fascists scared off, let us delve into the mechanics associated with being a follower of the Prince of Darkness.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
Starting with the mechanics, so you know what the price of selling your immortal soul is, and the powers that hell can provide you. Service to Asmodeus is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. Unlike our last entry, Asmodeus has a lot of fucking titles. Those titles include the Archfiend, the Dark Prince, the First, the God Fiend, King of Hell, Lord of Darkness, Lord of Darkness and Law, Lord of Hell, Lord of the Pit, Master of Witches, the Prince of Darkness, Prince of Devils, Prince of Hell, Prince of Law, and Ruler of Hell. Hell, 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 law, darkness, darkness, darkness. Yeah, I guess when you were the oldest beings in the universe, creative and unique titles weren't invented yet. Asmodeus' areas of concern as a deity include contracts, pride, slavery, and tyranny. They're the kind of deity of law that will follow the letter of the law, but twist its spirit until there's nothing else left. If you decide, hey, I want to be legally in the right, but morally an asshole, here are the edicts that Asmodeus demands you follow. Negotiate contracts to your best advantage. Rule tyrannically and torture weaker beings. Show subservience to your betters. Which, outside of the obvious ways to reflect that as a villain, I can see some merit to the first and last. One should know their worth and ensure the best possible result for themselves in any binding contract. And as a man of faith and hierarchy myself, I can respect the chain of command. But yeah, torturing weaker people and being a tyrant is just not something I can unironically support. Let us move towards the anathema, or what Asmodeus really doesn't want you to do. Break a contract. Share power with the weak. Insult Asmodeus by showing mercy to your enemies. Yeah, it's not much better. When you decide to devote your life to, well, that, here are the benefits you get for that small cost of your immortal soul. He is unique amongst the core deities, and his divine attribute is any, with the additional statement that anyone who commit themselves to Asmodeus have their souls bound to hell for all eternity. Which, yes, and water is wet. His religious symbol is an incredibly badass red pentagram. His sacred colors is black and red. The Dark Prince's sacred animal is the serpent because, again...
It's really cute that you're gonna defeat me with the power of friendship and all, but again, I am the devil from the Bible, so I don't know how
You
well it's gonna work.
motherfucker, you didn't let me finish.
Go ahead.
Clerics of Asmodeus will get access to the spells Charm, Suggestion, and Mislead. Charm is kind of obvious. Fantastic at getting people to sell their souls to you and join your infernal MLM. Suggestion is just a reminder that you are not immune to propaganda, and that enchantment is the evilest school of magic, no matter what they say. Finally, a breath of fresh air is Mislead, which is the ability to turn invisible and create an illusionary duplicate, which is fantastic if you have to escape from any of those pesky champions or slave revolts. His divine font is Harm, our first deity that isn't a centrist. They know what their stance is, and it's hurting people. He is one of the few deities that require sanctification to be unholy, which, given that you're basically fighting on the side of hell, yeah, that just makes sense. His divine skill is Deception. What, did you expect something else? His domains include Confidence, Fire, Trickery, and Tyranny, with alternative domains for Duty, Glyph, and Toil. And finally, his sacred weapon, he's a part of the Divine Mace Gang. Let us move our attention to observe the most recent sermon being held in Infernal Cheliax. Thankfully, one of our scouts were able to sneak in, and let us see what they have found. The banners of Cheliax rise over the blood-red dawn. In the shadow of Igorian spires, soldiers gather, faces hard, armor polished black as sin. A priest ascends the dais, up his voice ringing like a forge hammer.
People of Cheliax, children of the flame and the throne. Once this land knelt to chaos, to weakness, to the illusion of freedom. But then came the House of Throne. Then came the Ascendancy. And in our Queen's unholy vision, and in our Queen's unholy wisdom, the chains were reforged into order. By the Treaty of Igorian, our history was purified in the pyres of clarity. By the will of her infernal magistrates, false histories burned, and truth was remade in iron and flame. No longer do we crawl like beasts beneath the gods' indifference. We stand disciplined, perfected, eternal. For Asmodeus guides our souls, and House Throne commands our destiny.
The priest steps forward, the reflection of the infernal pentacle burning in his eyes. Outside, regiments of Hellknights loyal to Throne march in lockstep through Igorian streets.
And now, the false Republic of Andoran dares defy the flame. They call it freedom. We call it decay. Their democracy breeds rebellion. The liberty breeds treason. We will cure them of their sickness. We will deliver them onto the altar of hell. Let Andoran tremble beneath the boots of the righteous. Let their banners burn in our cleansing fire. For Asmodeus wills it, and her infernal majesty commands it. And the fires of Cheliax shall never be extinguished.
In the echo of the chant, the red sky of Igorian blazes brighter. The flame of order burns, and the war begins.
Hey, what do you mean you've already sold your soul? I just went to turn this in and already was told by my own people that this contract is null and void. You think you can outsmart me, the devil? Oh, we're just gonna get started now, Mr. Lord Commander, mark my words. Wait until the end of days. I will come for your soul.
You didn't have to cut me off. Make out like you never know we were nothing. I don't even need your love. Treat me like a stranger.
With Asmodeus being one of the oldest beings in the Pathfinder universe, he has quite a long history that unfortunately has conflicting accounts of myths and legends. From stories that he was an angel that betrayed a deity and took over hell, to, just like the devil has many things. It's classic storytelling. But according to his own autobiography, The Book of the Damned, Asmodeus is one of the two entities that were to be the first gods, the other being his brother and equal, Ithis. The two had begun the process of creating their own Minecraft server, the one that we call the Pathfinder universe, making planets, stars, and fundamental laws. From the primordial chaos was the order of reality starting to form. That was until Ithis created the first mortals, and with both of the brothers and the lesser gods who helped in creating the universe, they discovered the concept of souls and worshipped. Ithis, being the sentimental walking death flag that he was, decided to give these mortals free will, something that Asmodeus did not fucking like at all. The two had started a schism, one side being Team Fuck Free Will, and the other being Team Fuck Yeah Free Will. This would eventually end as the two would meet on a distant world, Asmodeus offering his hand in brotherhood, and then offering his spear through his brother's chest, performing the first act of treachery. Asmodeus, in a brief moment of regret, allowed for his now murdered brother's dream of freedom to stand, and returns to his subreddit r/hell to begin the echo chamber that absolute merciless order is based in red-pilled. When he focused on being the new admin of r/hell, he did some remodeling, of an entire dimension of existence, using the flesh and bones of hell to create his first OC and lieutenant, Mephistopheles. Like all the old gods, he played a key role in the imprisonment of Rovagug, which, if you don't know what that is, basically an angry roach god that tried to eat the universe, and the gods put a huge cup over it and haven't let go since. Asmodeus would be the only one to keep the keys that opened the prison, which I'm sure nothing bad will ever happen with that. Outside of that, he's been dealing and doing contracts with as many deities as possible. His on and off again boyfriend, Abadar, being his only real ally amongst the core deities because they both like rules and paperwork. Oh, and I guess he did play a role in turning the nation of Cheliax into his personal DIY project, making a deal with the noble house of Thrune and granting them an army of devils that helped in the good old Chelaxian Civil War. Now, with the war starting to break out between Andoran and Cheliax, which is inevitable due to the two, in the old days of pre-remastered alignment, being chaotic good and lawful evil the nations, I can imagine that Asmodeus is going to have to contend with both the maintaining of his power base on the world of Galarian and the fact that apparently he has to rein in on how actually evil Queen Abigail Thrune II is. Yes, the current Queen of Cheliax is somehow too ruthless and evil for Hell's standards. No, they don't go into detail on what the hell that means. But we're going to turn our focus to the far future, or at least an alternative future because Paizo riders are cowards. Let us make way to learn about where the Prince of Darkness is during the time of Starfinder.
I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space!
Honestly, in the Starfinder setting, it really seems that Asmodeus is much more of a background player. However, that does not mean his presence is not felt across the setting. The real hell was capitalism all along. No, but seriously, it seems that Hell has been busy trying to establish a space empire, bleeding out from the material universe with investigations, the only confirmed members of the space Hell Empire being the planet of Embroi and probably the Gitteron Authority. Embroi is a planet that is home to fascist space mollusks called the Embry, who exist in an exceptional rigid social order where all of them are expected to know their place and perform their duties without complaint. Any potential rebels or freethinkers, when discovered, are exiled or executed. They try to cleanse themselves of all emotions, viewing displaying emotions as primitive and dangerous. To prevent themselves from any emotions or ties to individuality, they wear ornate masks, which, for someone whose entire culture and religious identity, when it comes to mask, is purely as a sign of individuality, is such a disturbing inversion. Few within the society know that they're under the control of Hell. The only ones that know is a small group known as the Speakers. So while Asmodeus' influences on these emotionally repressed mollusks are clear, their influence on the military junta known as the Gitteron Authority is far more subtle. The expansionist military empire quickly recovered from an event known as the Crash, in part because of their investment in Hell Drive technology. Yes, you heard me, Hell Drive technology. Outside of having an obviously evil-ass name, they're effectively another source of faster-than-light travel, in which it goes about in the Warhammer 40k fashion of space travel, in which you launch yourself through hell and reappear. With that and the Galactic Orders of Hellknights losing most of their nuance seemingly over the years and becoming a focused mortal military arm for the forces of Hell, Asmodeus has been slowly yet certainly claiming the galaxy, one planet at a time. We don't know how this will all end, but with the fact that Asmodeus is no longer a major deity in the setting, he's having to play things far more long-term. How will his story advance in the future? We'll have to find another time. I just got a distress signal from one of our scout stations near the Gitteron Authority. Let's look into that. Computer, analyze the threat. Meanwhile, on the outskirts of the Gitteron Authority space, hidden behind an asteroid field, lies a graveyard of starships. Within these desolate corpses are vessels of the stars, power cores rigged to maintain base functions such as life support, and sensors are active. The sworn agents of the Imperial Cultural Society spend their time recording details and trying to broadcast to more public channels secrets that those who seek to oppress knowledge would like to keep within their iron fist. And the dim flickering lights of these barely functioning yet grounded husks through the lens of artificial eyes as the camera observes the cries of battle. For the Empire! No.
Alert! Alert the ICS! Alert the ICS! Alert the ICS! Our location has been compromised.
What? How long ago was this signal sent out? We just found out this was being attacked. What happened? According to our sources, the distress beacon star date is approximately 1 Earth week old. Week old? We should be able to protect our people in under an hour. What do you mean a week old? It appears that the distress beacon was delayed by outside forces. Detecting now. Fiendish interference detected. Infernal origins. Translating infernal now. Processing. Processing complete. Interface. Interference due to communication center being possessed by Lizaroth classification of the outsider devil subtype. The hacker devils? Computer, let's go over the potential orders. We need to figure out what happened to them so we can get some vengeance. Affirmative, Lord Commander. Accessing Imperial records on Hellknight orders in the Starfinder universe. Originally based on the planet of Galarian, it appears that many of the Hellknight orders would eventually split, fracture, and in many cases perish by the current timeline, leaving 4 active orders remaining. Order of the Chain, Order of the Crucible, Order of the Eclipse, Order of the Pyre. Those who have dedicated themselves to the Hellknight cause and have passed the grueling test to become a Hellknight. New Hellknights start at threat level 6, have expert levels of intimidation and proficiency in medium and heavy armors. Hellknight culture seems to focus on specialization to make their armor not only more protective, but increase scare factor when suppression through fear is needed. Order of the Chain. I remember those guys from Pathfinder. They're the bounty hunters, right? Correct, Lord Commander. They are one of the remaining original orders from the now lost planet. Currently, they are based in the starship Citadel, Tiras. Their commander, Lictor Razithio, had recently acquired a Paragon-level threat in the form of an orbital laser known as the Eye of Asmodeus. Well, that's concerning. Why would a group of bounty hunters need a fucking space laser? But could that be the one who found our scouts? No symbols tied to the Order of the Chain were located upon processing security files. Well then, it could be those whack jobs from the Order of the Pyre. I remember they would try to burn away any information they deem subversive. No heat-based weaponry was detected. Order of the Crucible. Those are new. Could it be them? I've heard they're located near the region in which our men were attacked. Detecting. Affirmative. They were responsible for providing the Gitteron Authority Helldrive technology. The Order of the Crucible is based on Citadel Faridus and have a focus on testing far-flung colonies and alien civilizations to see if they are by their own rules and standards worthy of acquisition of infernal technologies and spellcraft. However, despite presence in the region, scouts have reported that they were focused on assisting the Gitteron Authority and their war effort against the Mariza Republic. If they were trying to test us, they would have likely gone to one of our more public bases operations then. More able to take a challenge instead of like a bunch of going after some of our scholars. You mentioned this Order of the Eclipse though. Could they be responsible? Accessing files. Retracing interference logs. Processing. Based at Citadel Zerval, formed shortly after the cosmic phenomenon known as the Gap. They're dedicated to controlling dangerous media, specialized in media blackouts and data wipes. It appears many of our findings were attempted to be erased. Fragments remain. That sounds like them. Could you trace the origin of those jammers and locate any symbols related to the Order of the Eclipse? Affirmative, Lord Commander. Upon investigation, our data priests have been able to decipher their attempts to hide their involvement. Scout Station Gitteron was interfered by orders of Citadel Zerval. Well, since this is an official broadcast for the Imperial Cultural Society, let us go ahead and cover their combat styles and what we might know about them. I want to make sure our viewers are prepared for when we avenge our fallen comrades. Accessing Imperial records. Hellknights who have achieved threat level 8 have acquired the ability to drive back combatants with their fearsome presence alone, able to manipulate the battlefield and force retreat while they gain ground. Advised tactic. Take fear suppressants. Maintain a distance more than 30 feet away. Hellknights who have achieved threat level 10. Notable amongst officers and shock troops. They appear to become an infernal bulwark. their armor has been upgraded to better resist most civilian-class ordnance, as well as most forms of projectile weaponry. Advised tactic: psionic or mental attacks. Should that fail, while they're resistant to ordnance, enough firepower can still overwhelm even the most veteran of Hellknights. Hellknights who have achieved threat level 12 have access to infernal armaments, allowing for their weapons to be infused with the various powers of Hell. Order of the Eclipse was spotted using entropic weapons. Advised tactic: prepare specialized suits of armor to negate void damage. Elite Hellknights who have achieved threat level 14 have acquired the ability to modify their armor to be able to unleash fires from Hell. It appears this was used during the conflict with Scout Station Hagitteron. However, it is noted that while specific damage is determined by order, it appears that all of them can target the soul instead, if it would be more detrimental to their threat. Advised tactic: send combatants that do not have souls. Well, that's honestly a lot to think about. Okay, please send word to the other scout stations. I want to make sure we don't lose anyone else. Now, I've already have sent word, but I have a few more people I need to visit, because I try to visit when we lose our people. Because they may be under my command, but I hold responsibility for their loss, and this is insane. Before we end this broadcast, because I have a quote on a meet here, let us move to our final thoughts. Cut to the final thoughts. I have to go do some Lord Commander shit. Ordos protect us. I want to remind you all that your continued support and the aid to the Imperial Cultural Society is deeply appreciated. As we continue to observe different realities, I would really appreciate your patronage, communication, and viewership. With Asmodeus being a dark reflection of ordered society, the iron-fisted tyrant who suppresses truth and twists everything to serve their whims, they're a fantastic antagonist for your Starfinder and Pathfinder games. As well, if you wish to play a follower of the Prince of Darkness, I would advise speaking with your party to ensure they're comfortable with adventuring with someone who willingly serves the forces of Hell. Asmodeus is a cautionary tale of the promises of security and order that, while are beneficial to society, must be tempered with compassion and acceptance of the self-sovereignty of others. Yet villains like Asmodeus, who can negotiate with mortals and gods alike, is still greatly compelling from a storytelling standpoint. And while the likelihood of this broadcast being interfered with by the forces of YouTube due to the mentions of the barbaric political philosophy of fascism, we here at the Imperial Cultural Society care only about the truth and standing by those who fight against such oppression. So, if by chance this became our last, and let me remind you all to please stay safe and stay glorious.